Hello Year 3 and welcome to today's maths video. Today's maths video is for Wednesday the 20th of January. Today we're going to have a quick look at Fluent in 5 and how to solve some of the problems. I would like you to have paused the video and have had a go at Fluent in 5. I'm going to be going through the answers and possible strategies to finding those answers. So your first calculation for today was 70 divided by, and then it was a missing number, equals 10. Now you may have been able to use your times tables to calculate this problem, but you can also think of drawings and representations to help you solve this problem, because you know that this means shared. Now with division, your first number is always your total, then you share it into groups, and this is your number of groups, and your final number, your end result, is your how many in each group. It's the total in a group. Now what that means is that we had 70, we shared our 70 into an unknown number of groups, and once we'd done that, we were left with 10 in a group. So to solve my problem, I can build groups of 10 until I have 70 in total. One group of 10, two groups of 10 gives me 20, 3 gives me 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Now there I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of 10. So that tells me that 70 shared into 7 groups leaves me with 10 in a group. So remember, you can always draw it. This is your total shared into this many groups, gives you this amount in each group. And let's look at B. Now here we have 14 times 2 equals, that means we have 14 groups of 2, because times also means lots of or groups of. So we have 14 groups of 2. So we could draw a bar. We can give ourselves 7 groups each side, so we've got 14 in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, my sides aren't equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've got one too many there. Didn't need that one. There we go. So now I've got 14 groups. If I put 2 in each group, I can count how many I've got in total. And I know that in total, I've got 28. A quicker way to do it could be to turn this around so that you're doing 2 times 14. You'll get the same answer, but it's a lot easier because you do 2 groups of 14. So I have my 110 and my 4 ones, my 110 and my 4 ones. I've got 14 in a group and I've got 2 groups of 14. Now if I total that up, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 ones and 2 10s, which gives me 28 in total. So please remember, you can always draw the representations to help you solve it. Now, if you found these particularly easy, why don't you have a go at writing some of your own and drawing representations yourself? For example, you could do 16 times 2, 24 times 2, 34 times 2, and draw it as different representations. You could times it by multiplying by a different number, 14 times 3. So you could do 3 groups of 14 or 14 groups of 3, and just have a go at how you would represent that as a bar and then what the total would be. Now C is another missing word problem, but this is an addition problem. So we've got 527 plus an unknown number equals 785. Now we know with our part whole method that we have 2 parts here, 2 parts added together to make a whole, our total. So we've got 785 as our whole total. One of our parts is 227 and our other part is unknown. Now, we know that to get our total, we add our two parts together. We can also start with our total and subtract one of our parts. If we take away one part, if we take that away, we should be left with that one. So we can do 785 take away 527. Going to need to do some regrouping because you can't start with 5 and subtract 7. So your 8 tens becomes 7 tens and your 5 ones becomes 15 ones. 15 take away 7 is 8. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then 7 take away 2 is 5. 7 take away 5 is 2. And that tells us that our missing part is 258. Our missing number is 258. Lastly, let's look at D. Now for D, we needed to find half of 110. Now if you're finding half of something, then you have your whole, you're cutting it into two. If you think about cake, you have a cake, if you eat half of a cake, you're cutting it into 2 equal pieces and you're eating 1/2 of that cake. If I'm finding half of a number, I do the same thing. I cut my number in half, I divide it by 2, and then one of those parts gives me 1/2. Now it's easy to do this if I use my partitioning. So I'm going to partition it into 100 tens, and there are no ones, so I'm going to leave, I can't do the ones, there are none of them. However, I have 110. If I divide my 10 by 2, I get 5. If I divide my 100 by 2, I get 50. If I add those two together, I've got 55. Now that tells me that each half of my 110 is worth 55. And if I added those two together, I would get 110. So 1/2 of 110 is one of my parts out of the two. So I have 55. Well done if you got that right. Remember, again, with these, if you're finding them really easy and you'd like a bit of extra challenge, then have a go at finding your own numbers. Pick a number between 50 and 200. Make sure it's even, but pick an even number between 50 and 200 and find half of that. And keep practicing finding half of a number. Maybe even have a go at finding a quarter of a number if you'd like a real challenge. And think about how many parts you would need to break your number into and then how many of those parts you'd count. Have a go if you really fancy a challenge.